We might be live. Who knows?
We are
We're
live.
live.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Welcome, Gooners from all over the world. And tonight we're going to be talking about the latest merch drop from the Arsenal. All those fantastic new clothes. No, that's not what's going to happen, is it? We are going to be talking about the very disappointing. Shall I start off with an understatement? The very disappointing results at Meadow Park yesterday, as we crashed out of the cup 1-0 to Liverpool. However, we've got a jolly panel for you, just bursting with gags and fun. James, welcome.
Good evening, Andrew. How are you?
All the better for seeing you, my good friend. And a good evening to Paul as well. How's Mr. T doing?
Yeah, good. I'm all alone today, so we shouldn't have any younger persons gate crashing the party.
To be fair, any distractions that anyone can provide us is more than welcome. What's your shirt, by the way? I don't recognise the shirt. What's that?
This is the goalkeeper's shirt.
Holy shit!
Is Manu's Innsbruck stop?
Well, I guess she's not using it much these days, so someone may as well. And that was the fabulous Laura interjecting there. Good evening, Laura. How you doing on this fine evening?
I think the group chat, I didn't seem too happy yesterday, but I'm a bit calmer today than what I was yesterday, but I think it was a bad idea that George put me in the lineup tonight because I feel I'll get myself cancelled with what I have to say about this whole fiasco that's going on at our club. So hey ho, here we are, ready to be cancelled.
We will get into that. I don't think you'll get cancelled. You need someone to cancel you, and I don't know if there's anyone out there that
I was starting to think you could have cancelled me yesterday at the group chat.
Hey. Lots of boiled noggins and heads lost, but that's kind of what happens when we
opinions matter, don't they? Opinions matter.
God, yes. And of course, top of the bill, it's Jack. How you doing, Jack?
I'm not bad. To be fair, my parts are in the news today because we had the two big oil tankers crash just off my coast.
Oh my gosh! Do you know? I just assumed it was further north.
No. It's unfortunately I can't see anything. I took a walk down there earlier to see if I could see any smoke or fire. You know how you do when there's a big thing. You go and have a gawp and a look, but it's still too foggy, unfortunately. So I was a bit disappointed by that. Maybe more disappointed by yesterday, but looking forward to it.
You probably get more exciting out of that, Jack.
It was quite exciting, to be fair, when I heard it had happened. But
anyway, I'm just amazed that boats that size, with all the technology that have to them, can absolutely, and the sea as big as that is. I don't know. I'm clearly out of my depth. Pardon the pun, but I don't get it. But now we've had a special request from our panel this evening, and I don't know if everyone's going to take up this, but James, I'm going to put you on the clock for 5 minutes, freestyling, to kind of get some therapy through here. So I'll make it 1920. Go, James. Tell us, get it off your chest.
I don't think I'll need quite 5 minutes, but yeah, I did come in and suggest we all be allowed to have a little bit of a rant tonight because I think we need it. What an absolute fucking shit show that was yesterday. I will drop the F-bombs and the swear words in early. That, for me, I thought when I said it at the start of the season, I was told I was crazy on this chat. I was crazy in the comments. I was off my head in Facebook and Twitter. And my God, am I right? We need a clear out big time this summer. I seen earlier on Facebook, someone actually suggested getting rid of Renee.
Wow.
For me, you can't get rid of Renee. Renee can't take the fault for that. It doesn't read good when you do say she's came in Since coming in, we have left the Subway Cup, the FA Cup. We are pumped out the league. Although, let's face facts, we were pumped out the league for the start of the season. And we are on the verge of possibly being pumped out the Champions League. At the same time, as much as it sticks in the throat, our big rivals Chelsea are on course for doing the unbeaten quadruple. We need something big time to change, and for me, that's the players. Every single one of them let her down last night, and in an absolute massive way. From back to front, I've defended Daphne since she came in. Daphne was absolute. I genuinely, words can't describe it. I don't know what was going on with the lassie last night. Our back line consists of apparently one of the most amazing players for the USA, the England captain who has won the Euros, the Australian captain, and the Republic of Ireland captain. And they were non-freaking existent last night. Every one of them. We blamed the ref. We blamed the pitch. What more can we blame? Seriously. That pitch, I'll admit, is an absolute shithole. But that is our shithole. We played on that last Sunday against West Ham. We should know how to freaking play in that pitch. And it suited Liverpool better. No, sorry, that is bollocks. And then Laura hit the nail on the head last night with it straight away. Coming in, or lead into her. There it was straight away. Leah Williamson, seriously disappointed with the result. Fuck off with your apologies. Come out, be brave, put the big girl pants on and admit we were shite. That's my rant.
Well, we'll leave it at that, shall we, James? Do you feel better? Do you feel was that cathartic? Do you feel the load is lightened?
The load is lightened a little, but we have a good few things coming up. I know you've put them in the chat. We've got a good thing coming up. The load is lightened. I don't feel I'll pile it on as much.
Excellent.
That's my rant over.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure I've got the sense there might be 2 or 3 left in you already, but we'll move on. Paul, do you want your 5 minutes of fame? See you can drop the most F-bombs. I don't know what's.
Oh, I don't know about that, but I think I'm very disappointed with the team. I think they all can do better. They've all done better on their day, and for me, it's the depth of squad we've got as a club. I don't think it's 100% the players on the pitch. It's the club in general that they're not showing the. Whereas Chelsea are going out and they're buying these, top world-class players, we're not doing that. We're settling for, what we've got, and what we've got isn't good enough. And if you just look at our back line that James has just said about, where's the competition for those 4 places? If you look at that at right back, the competition is an 18-year-old academy player who, yes, in a year or two's time, will be there. We've got Leah and Steph at the centre back, who are competing for those 2 places at the moment. We've got Lotta out injured. We've got Kadina out injured. We've got Amanda coming back from the pregnancy and probably not expected to play 90 minutes for a good few weeks yet. And at left back, we've got Katie or Jenna, who's only just come into the squad and hasn't had much game time with them. So we've got 11 players on the pitch with nobody that's trying to make them better, keep to their guns and play 110% week in, week out. And they're just getting complacent, which is the problem on the pitch. But the back room is not just the back room, but higher up in the club, the director of football and so on are not going out and getting those competitive players to bring in. So only a short rant from me.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I was going to go to Jack, but I think James has scared him off. So, hang on. Jack's back. Let's get yourself settled in, Jack. Paul,
I'm gutted I missed that. I was having some major technical issues.
do you know what, Jack?
I've had all sorts.
What basically, let me summarize. Jack and Paul said everything's going to be okay, guys. Don't worry. That's basically what they said. Laura, do you want your 5 minutes?
I think I'll need more than 5 minutes, to be honest with you, Andrew. But again, I agree with Paul and James. An absolute fucking shit show yesterday from our players. Even to the point, I think Liverpool scored and I turned the TV back over to the Celtic game. I thought, no chance am I going to sit and watch that heap of shit. Sit and watching our players give balls away and no chance of even getting it back. Maybe their energy was drained going to Paris at the start of the week and being all loved up at the Eiffel Tower, but rather than being at home, making sure they're rested for a big weekend ahead to get themselves to Wembley for a final, they would rather be in Paris. Maybe some of the players were checking out their new facilities because for me they deserve to be at the door. And Kate McCabe is one of them. Caitlin Ford, don't know what was going on with her. Her first touch was awful yesterday. Awful. Every time she touched the ball, it would clip her toe and off away to Liverpool, and Smith was off. Katie McCabe was in no man's land, couldn't catch up, couldn't keep up with her. A 19-year-old against a senior player like Kate McCabe, imagine being beat like that. Last week I said we should never bench Kyra Cooney-Cross, was non-existent yesterday. Our front line, non-existent yesterday. I don't know what was going on. I really, really, really don't. But like I said, going to Paris was obviously more important than getting through to an FA Cup final or the next stages of the FA Cup to get us to a final. But yeah, the words that I said yesterday, I don't think would have been pleasant enough to even say on this show yesterday. But yeah, that's my rant. As I say, I could go on and on. But yeah, disappointed. And another thing that really annoys me is like all these ones that are on. Yous were on Kate McCabe last week when she scored the goal. Blah 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 blah. No, we weren't. I was sitting on this show where sucking up Katie's ass last week when she scored that goal, because let's face it, we weren't happy with the performance last week. To me, we came into the performance this week and learned absolute jack shit. Like, I don't know. I'm just going to stop.
Fair enough. And again, thank you for restricting the F-bomb count. I'm not sure how many were allowed, but you did.
I'm pretty sure it's understandable. Just don't let your kids on tonight's show because it's not workable for them.
Yeah, well, that's up to the parents, isn't it? So Dorian just you see Dorian's message there. He's glad you've got that. Is karma, I think we would say there. So
can I just touch on another thing while you were on the whole chat with Katie McCabe? Like, if she ever watches a show, which I don't think she does, but grow the fuck up, grow up, and stop doing silly things to get yourself sent off. Especially in a game like yesterday, where it just wasn't needed. Like, grow up is just unacceptable. So it is.
Are you sure this time?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And another thing.
I'm sure.
No, we've kind of touched on one there, but so I'll let maybe I'm going to put this question to Paul because I was going to give this one to Laura. Laura's kind of covered it mainly, but Katie McCabe versus Olivia Smith was, from a neutral point of view, an epic battle. And just kind of what was your thoughts about the kind of that matchup yesterday, Paul?
Well, you've got the future against the past in a way, because Katie, just if she carries on performing like that, like she has the last few games, she's out the door. And
Interesting.
Smith was just unstoppable yesterday. She must have been on one for something, but yeah, she's been playing well for Liverpool all season. And I said right back at probably the end of last season that Liverpool were going to be one of the ones to watch. With just a couple of more signings, they could be the one to break into the top 4 this season. And they had a bad start, but they've been getting better and better through the season. And Smith is one of those players for me that she could be a world-class player in a couple of years, playing at the top level, playing for WSL champions, Champions League. She could be winning everything as long as she sort of keeps down to earth. And yeah, her against Katie should have had the experience to be able to deal with her, but obviously not.
I'll tell you what, Paul, just to back up your point on the quality, I've got my stat sheet here beside me that I've decided to do for today. And Olivia Smith, as part of starting and coming off the bench, has made 14 appearances and got 4 goals in just the WSL this season, which for a first season breakthrough one, they're pretty good numbers.
Yeah. Do we fancy signing her if we could at the weekend, at the end of the season? That's the weekend. That'd be nice, but that's probably not the way it goes. But
the thing is, would a team like Chelsea allow that kind of player to come to a team like Arsenal?
When you say allow, what do you mean?
Well, Chelsea, every player that we've looked at have swooped right in and took that player right off us. So
I don't think they've taken them off us. I just think we haven't acted upon the interest. We haven't put any real concrete bids in, I don't believe, which is probably part of our problem.
Interesting. I mean, it's. I suppose just to bring some balance to this, like Katie McCabe, I think I dropped a stat in. She's had the most big chances created this year in the whole of the WSL, in more than Mariona, more than Mary Fowler. And very much known for a kind of attacking prowess, and equally, that's when we're in possession, her instructions to go downfield, isn't it? We basically defend with 3 with Steph Catley kind of sliding over, so we've got a back 3, and Liverpool, unsurprisingly, perhaps put Olivia Smith on that right hand side. Do you think I mean, I suppose there's a couple of questions in that. Should we have pulled her back? Should we have attacked on, flipped it and used the right side with Fox going down? Obviously, we didn't. Should we have assigned a midfielder to support, or give Steph Catley more reason to support her? What's your thoughts, Paul, on kind of how we managed it tactically in that sense?
Well, we didn't, did we? Let's be honest. All across the pitch, we just didn't perform well. Beth and Caitlin were both off their game. I'm guessing that half-time substitution for Beth for Frida wasn't planned. Obviously, Beth had that slighted knock just before half-time. Whether that would have changed Renee's plans, whether she was planning a half-time change or not, whether she was planning a change in formation, I don't know. But yeah, we should have adapted quicker to what Liverpool were throwing at us. And in the past, when we haven't been performing well, or the result hasn't gone our way straight away, Renee has been the one to make the changes early. She hasn't been afraid to make that half-time substitution, change the formation, take the big names off. I won't even start on Kim Little. I'll just drop over her for this one. I've had my say in the past about her, but yeah, nothing seemed to change. We were just patting the ball around, giving it away. There was no we weren't getting into the final third quickly enough. Russo was tracking back into midfield like she usually does so well, and then she was staying there. She wasn't getting back up front when we got the ball, so there wasn't. Leah was looking for her a couple of times, trying to get that long pass, and she wasn't there. So Liverpool were quickly closing Leah down so she couldn't make the long pass. So Liverpool were, everything we tried, Liverpool knew what we were going to do. And we didn't change what we were planning. It was like watching a Jonas team. That it was,
ouch.
This is what our plan is, and we're not going to change it. It wasn't a Renee team, in my view. It was just watching what Jonas used to do and sticking with it. And that's not what we've come to expect over the last few games, or sort of 6 months since Jonas went.
Fair point. Question for Jack about Mariona Caldente. And more of a broader question, but I think, she was as perhaps as anonymous or struggled as much as anybody, and went from wide forward to a 10. So, but sort of moving away from this game, that game as such. But obviously, you're welcome to put your point of view on that. Do you see her as a 10 or a wide forward going, next season, and perhaps like as an ideal? Let's say, not necessarily as kind of substituting in, what are we lacking, but where do you think is her best position? The wide forward or the 10?
I think she can be world class in either. I personally prefer her on the wing. I think she gets the freedom to not have to track back as much. I think you can work around her defensive frailties that way. But I would be happy to see her in the 10. As for what's going on, I think she's tired. I think she's ran out of energy. And I think this might be now the case with a lot of our attacking players. I think a combination of they play too many games, a lack of competition, and they just have run out of energy, run out of steam. And I don't think it's they're not trying. I just think we haven't got the squad, especially in the midfield and forward line, to compete with the other top teams. And we try to compete on all four fronts. Obviously, FA Cup quarter-final, Subway Cup semi-final. Only till recently, we were still fighting in the league and the Champions League quarter-final as well. And I just don't think we have the attacking players. I think who would get into, this is what I was looking at today, who would get into one of the other quarter-finalists in the Champions League? Russo would. I think Mariona would. And maybe Beth Mead. I mean, I'll just quickly fire through Leon. They've got Betcho, Chawinga, Hegerberg, Diani, Lissoma, Dormane, have all contributed at least 3 or 4 goals and assists in the Champions League so far this season. And that's just the Champions League. Bayern have got Schuler, Harder, Damdrovic, Stanway, Zandril, again, all contributing goals, lots of depth. Real Madrid, which is a little bit worrying, actually, when I went through it. For the up-and-coming game, we've got Toletti, Weir, Brun, Redondo, Casado, Afinia, Navarro, and Fella. I mean, that's a lot of attacking power that you can then change. You can rotate. Barcelona, we know they've got obviously Alexio, Mati, Paralea, Hansen, Padger, Nazareth, Esme Barutz, loads and loads of depth again. Wolfsburg, Enderman, Johnsditter, Blomqvist, Pop, Berenstein. Chelsea have got ridiculous. Macario, Nusken, Wrighton, Ramirez, James, Baltimore, Canarid, Beaver Jones, Sam Kerr. The only one that's probably similar to us, and they've obviously sacked their manager today and are struggling as well, is Man City with just Gilrod, Miedema, Fowler, Hemp Park, Virgino and Shaw. I just think we lack depth.
And who do we have, Stina?
Well, we've got Mariona, Russo, Stina, Ford, Beth Mead. That's it. And I don't think it's a lack of effort. I just think, actually, we don't have the players. If you're Russo, the competition isn't there. You are going to naturally switch off. Whereas some of these other teams, you've got 2 absolute genuine world-class players in the same position in some places. And this is who we're competing with in the quarterfinals. And I don't think Renee can do that much with it because she hasn't got the players. And I think naturally the players are either playing too much, haven't got the competition, or for players like Russo and Mariona, maybe they need more players of the similar quality next to her. So I do think that's probably one of my biggest concerns, and I haven't really noticed it till today, just how big the drop in difference is. So I think the fact that Mariona's probably needed to play on the wing and in midfield because she's so good compared to what we've got, and I just think we're going to see tired performances from her and Russo till the end of the season. I mean, Beth Mead's come back from her ACL and had to contribute loads. We've not been able to ease her back in. I wonder if there was some truth in what Miedema said about the way that she had to be rushed back in. I don't think the blame being directed at Jonas was maybe the best idea. I think it'd have been better served for higher up in the club. And that's not just a dig at Claire Wheatley, but I think even higher up I would go. But I just don't think we have necessarily the squad and the firepower in both midfield and in attack to compete on all fronts. Maybe if we'd gone out of Europe in the playoffs again this season and gone out of one of the cups early, we might have been able to compete in the league because I think our first 11 is very strong. But I think we just bit off more than we can chew a bit, and I think the players are struggling as a result of it.
Fair. Always look on the bright side. That's our Jack. That's our Jack. James, I'm going to give you a really tough question now. We were actually just to touch on. Jack mentioned something about the kind of the Claire Wheatley, and we will come back to that later. But James, now the first part of this question you're going to enjoy this, and it might be really easy. And I'm going to ask you, what was our worst game this year, and what was our best game this year? Because I think a lot of people have kind of instantly maybe there's a bit of recency bias, that yesterday's game, was really painful and it was god awful as a spectacle as well. But was it our worst game? And then, the second bit that it might help you maybe, James, to think of the best game. Go to your happy place as well.
For me, I mean, there's a few we could pick as my worst games. I'm going to try and stay away from the recents because it'd be very easy to turn around and say yesterday or West Ham. For me, I'm going to go Everton. Nothing in straw. Everton is where the league died.
Yeah.
You've seen it, and it was just soul-sucking. Best performance, I'm going to go with the return of Bayern. I think in that game, knowing that one, we went into that knowing full well. It was basically win for not so much an easier draw, but the easiest we could get, or suffer. And we went out all guns blazing that night and gave Bayern hell. That for me is the only way I can answer that is Everton. Everton's the worst, Bayern's the best, but there have been worse performances. Yeah, I think I remember the Everton game, and it felt like it went on for about 3 days, and I just wanted to go home. And it was just that neither team were capable of playing anything good. I always thought yesterday, fool that I might have been, I thought, oh, maybe there's a goal in this somehow. It was going to be an ugly goal. It was always going to be a scrappy goal. But I agree. I think Everton felt worse because there was not a lot of hope in afterwards. I think it felt like it was kind of the end game for Jonas as well. Whereas I think in a couple of days' time we'll all be thinking, okay, we've still got we've got Renee and we've got some hope there. So okay. Does that feel better, James? It's kind of, but there is still. I mean, you touch on. I know Jack loves stats, and Jack was saying, obviously, I know we're going to touch on it and what we need to improve and stuff. Here's one of the scariest stats going. from the last 6 years, counting this season, from a possible 18 domestic trophies to be won, Arsenal have won 2.
Yeah.
Increasing that to the last 10 years, from a possible 30, Arsenal have won 5.
Yeah.
Easiest way to put it, and sorry to put everybody in back in a downer, Arsenal are not a top competing club. We are not. If it weren't for how bad the other teams in the WSL were, we'd be mid-table.
Well, James, you should be used to that because you support Rangers, so
Now,
he's the only one.
come on.
I'm going to
kick
be.
Ellis
I'm
down.
going to be honest with you. That is a very easy comparison.
Yeah.
For what, like that, for what Rangers men spend, the same as Arsenal. I think there was somewhere that said last season we brought in the most revenue in the full of the WSL.
Yeah.
We can't pull in a single top player. They don't want to come to us. Why? Because we aren't competing. We genuinely aren't competing. In the last 10 years, as I say, I've not followed the club for the last 10 years. I came in maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So I've only kind of suffered the sort of from Jonas starting through. But for 10 years, for a club the size of Arsenal, we speak of the history, and I mentioned it earlier in my rant, Chelsea are currently on top for going the unbeaten quadruple. Arsenal are absolutely lacking behind, but we've still got the top revenue, the top size of crowds. You've got to look at it, as Jack said in the comment, chat yesterday, the fish rots from my head down. And I know we're going to touch on that, so I'll leave that there for now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I saw that Tom Gary tweet, and it kind of really brought it home about sort of like how lack we are. And I be careful what you wish for. I've been a fan of Arsenal women for when we were actually good, and genuinely it was boring. And I kind of thought, I wish I don't. I'd go to cup finals and there'd be no jeopardy. It would be like, how many are we going to score? Is Kelly Smith going to get a hat trick? It was boring. It was rubbish. And I remember thinking, I don't want this. I'd like somebody else to come along. And now it's happened. I regret ever thinking that, and I want to go back to winning everything because it was much more fun. But yeah,
I do think we can attract the top players, and I don't think we are as far away as it perhaps feels. I'm not sure if it feels bleak, but I don't know if it is actually as bleak as it maybe feels.
Yeah. At the end of the day, our wage bill will be, people have got to make a living, and we will attract people to pay their bills. Particularly in this league, in women's football, people are still trying to make a living, and we will pay that because we are a rich club, and we do that. But yeah, so I would say, Caldenti, Mariona, Fox, and Russo, and even Daphne. Well, no, Daphne's still a young player, but so I think we are attracting some.
And those type of players are the players that you have to give Claire Wheatley a bit of respect for. People are so quick to jump in Claire Wheatley's back about how we haven't brought in players and how we haven't done this and how we haven't done this. But give the woman some respect when she's bringing in players like Mariona Caldenti.
Yeah, actually, I was going to come to you anyway under that one, Laura, as well. Sort of, I think we've. I'm probably just. Jack might be able to remember. We might have Arsenal. The whole of the club are going to have a new sporting director soon. But do you think, Laura, that Claire need some help? Because Jonas kind of hinted at that we that he didn't have enough support from sort of like that above, and Renee's signing taking so long. It just kind of sounded like Claire Wheatley's in tray is just too big. So whether you think we need she needs some more help or what, I don't know what you think about the structure from that side.
Yeah, definitely. I think I don't think she got the backing of obviously the last sporting director that was in it. I know he was obviously big on making decisions for the men and not so much for the women. I know he was in Alessia Russo's photos when we signed her. What that was about, I don't know. We'll never know. As fans, we'll never know what's going on in the backgrounds of our club. But it is questions we are allowed to ask as fans that put money into the club. Does anyone even know what Claire Wheatley's actual job description is? Because it's never ever been confirmed what she is for us. And I don't necessarily think she's in charge of the one bringing players in for us.
I'll just say, Laura, quickly, I've done some searching on this today, and
Yeah.
she is the director of women's football operations at Arsenal.
So she's not necessarily the one that's allowed to say, yes, we are allowed to bring that player in.
I believe it's according to her in a interview from, this was 3 years ago, she is involved in talks with agents, players, and negotiating transfers. Now, I don't know if this is she chooses to transfers, if she has the final say, or even if it's not perhaps changed since as well. But 3 years ago, I do think she was the one bringing the transfers in from what I've been able to see from articles and her own words.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Then the stats that I would like to see is, I know we say we're one club. Now, of course, the men bring in the biggest revenue, okay, but that's fine. But we're not far behind in selling out the Emirates. We are not far behind in buying shirts. We're not far behind in a new collection that's just come out that's dedicated to the women. I'd like to know how much of the actual revenue from all those kind of sales actually go to the women and not to just the men. I'm assuming the men take a lump sum for that, so which means if we're bringing in revenue, the biggest revenue in the WSL, then where is that money going? Where is that money? Why is that money not allowing us to buy big players like, as Darren said, Bunmati, buy players like Gurma when we were in talks with her that apparently because we didn't offer her the money that she wanted, that's why she didn't come to us. That is obviously something that was in journalism that sometimes people say you don't believe, but it's what's going on, like, and I think it's questions we should demand as supporters of that club, that they should be allowed to be asked what is going on and what can you promise us going forward in the next few seasons that's going to allow us to bring in these big names to our club and to allow us to win at least the league next season. And I don't want to just win a league next season. I want to at least see us come away with at least 2 major cups next season, and that's what I expect.
Yeah, I think the transparency would be nice, just to kind of so we can see that. But yeah, it would be interesting to see. I know. I don't know. Quickly, Jack. Do you know much about the new guy, who's meant to be coming in?
I know he's from Atletico Madrid. He came from Atletico Madrid, and I know he was originally he's an Italian who was originally at Parma, I believe, long time ago. From what I've heard, he's very, very good. I don't know how involved he'll be with the women's side. I don't know how involved he was with Atletico Madrid's women, for example. But I think for the men, he'll be very, very good. It's just whether do we need a separate one for the women, or is he going to cover both? Because I do believe, from what I've heard from people who I do class as quite reliable, is Edu was quite a big supporter of the women's team.
Okay.
And he was willing to put resources into stuff like scouting and areas of that. And I think it's something that he'll probably continue.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of nice that Eddie did that, but I wonder if it is just by the sheer volume of work that needs to be done, that it needs to have a dedicated person. But okay, thanks for that. Paul, there's been much talk about at Meadow Park and the cabbage patch, the carrot patch, whatever. Is it time? And appreciate there's some logistics and around this. Is it time that we move to the Emirates full time for the women?
Simple answer, yes.
Thank you, Paul. Next.
I don't think it's just the pitch that's the issue. We moved gradually over the last 2 or 3 years to more games at the Emirates, and watching them against West Ham and then against Liverpool yesterday, I start to wonder if the players psychologically are thinking all the big games are at the Emirates, so the ones at Boreham Wood, Meadow Park don't actually matter.
Yeah.
They're the lower WSL games, so Crystal Palace, West Ham, Leicester in a couple of weeks. And no disrespect to them, but they are 3 of the teams that at the beginning of the season you would have said they'll be the bottom 3 probably, or 3 of the bottom 4 at the end of it. And they should have been the easier games. So is it that they will perform? Okay, they didn't at the Emirates in the first couple of games, but that was under Jonas. Are they performing better on the big stage at the Emirates than they are at Meadow Park? They performed against Bayern Munich, but that was meant to be at the Emirates, and there was all the issues, and it had to be switched. But we've taken that leap with so many of the games now. Why didn't we just do it with all 11 WSL games? Leicester have done it. Aston Villa have done it. So a club the size of Arsenal should have done it with all of them. And okay, we only got 30,000 against Brighton, 28,000 against Everton. But Brighton was a Friday night game. They are the lower. Again, they're not the top teams that are going to drag in all the not just us hardcore fans, but they'll bring in the other ones as well. So I think it is time we should move. We still have somewhere like Meadow Park as a backup, as just in case. Like Aston Villa, you still use Walsall for their cup games. But yeah, I think the fixtures could be moved around quite easily. The men's fixtures come out before the women's. It can easily be done when the WSL ones come out. Right, simple. The men are away that weekend. The women can be at home.
Yeah,
simple as that.
I think if we're going to use a place like obviously Meadow Park, then again it comes from high above. That money then needs to be pumped into Boreham Wood to keep that pitch immaculate. Because it's not only just the women that use that pitch, our academy players use that pitch. So why isn't Arsenal investing in Boreham Wood to keep that pitch immaculate all season long?
Yeah.
And
there's no investment going into the academy or the women by the sounds of it from the top lot.
True. You say only 30,000, Paul, and yet that was still the record that week, and is still, more than a lot of teams get, combined. So, but yeah, I take your point on that one.
I mean, that week it was 30,000 for us, and all the other games combined didn't hit that total together. But we as a club, we're looking at 30,000 as a bad attendance.
Yeah.
Other clubs would be thinking, wow, but are we as a club they're saying, oh great, we're the best at the attendances, we're the best at this, we're the best at that, but we're not the best on the pitch. And at the end of the day, that's where it matters.
Mm-hmm.
I was embarrassed to have a player like Mariona having to play on that pitch, to be honest, because what is the actual point? I mean, it was horrendous. I was embarrassed by the pitch. The ball. It's not. I still think we would have lost at the Emirates potentially. I don't think the performance was good enough. But I mean, that's such a simple thing to get right. Also, it can lead to postponements and stuff.
Yeah.
Does it have undersoil heating? It can flood easily.
Yeah.
It's all these little things as well. It can cause fixture pile-ups. It can cause. It's the basics, I think, that the club are still not getting right, because that pitch was.
We lost the Bristol City game, didn't we, to a postponement in the FA Cup because it was a frozen pitch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. My main concern yesterday was do not bring Victoria Pullover off that bench to that pitch.
Oh, God,
pitch was so goddamn dry. My concern was if we bring Vicky Pullover on that and she plants her foot wrong and someone comes in from the back here, she is a goner again and she's out again. That was my thought. Do not bring Victoria Pullover on that pitch because it's so dry. I am surprised that players like Leah Williamson, Beth Mead, Vicky Pullover even allow Arsenal to even allow them to play on a pitch like that. It's that dry. If I'm a player that's just come back from an ACL and concerned about going in for a tackle or playing on a pitch like that, I'm voicing my concern. I'm turning around and saying to the club, you need to sort that out.
Do you think subconsciously players are concerned? Obviously, we've got Euros coming up in a serious injury now in mid-March. It cleans them out for it. It would clean them out for the summer. And they're probably not meaning to. But I bet Leah Williamson's half thinking, I don't want to go in and injure myself for another major tournament. How many more major tournaments has Beth Mead got left? Leah Volti, she's got one home tournament left in her. Subconsciously, these players are going to be looking at that and thinking, oof. And for Laura's point on attracting players, they'll look at that pitch and they'll go, no thanks.
No.
I get it. I know I had my rant earlier about the pitch and stuff, but here's my view on it is simple. I get where players are coming from, and as you say, you make a fair point, Jack, in saying obviously we've got World Cups, we've got Euros, etc., so on forward. But here's my easy way to put it, and I look at it as a fan from a perspective. What my dream would have been, of course, playing football. Any young fan sitting at home, sitting in that stadium yesterday, would have gave anything to play in that shithole of a park. For me, I get it's a bad pitch, but we need to remember as well as a top team, Boreham Wood are playing in the National League South. Boreham Wood have got peanuts compared to us. So like Laura says, put the investment in that pitch if that's the case. But at the same time, don't use that pitch as an excuse. Look at Liverpool. Liverpool turned up. They could have used it as well when we want to play passing football. They've got the pace for it. But they looked at that pitch and went, that ain't working. Here's the easy way to do it. Route 1. Why did Arsenal not just do the same yesterday? Route 1, flood the back and punt it. Take the full equation of running out the equation. We didn't. And we done the same with West Ham. For me, a pitch can't be an excuse because at the end of the day, I get we're used to playing in immaculate pitches. There's other pitches out there. There's plastic pitches. There's shithole pitches. Chelsea pitch isn't that great. We still go to there and play. And that for me is where we need to turn around and go, get used to the idea we are going to play on bad pitches, but we're a professional team. Learn to adapt.
Fair points indeed. Fair point. Is that your stomach that's growling, or Jen?
No, it's just these bad breathing.
It's no. I'm actually muted. I've heard this the full way through.
Someone's got a snoring dog, or they need. Is that? I was going to say. Yes, it's you.
Just does that, but
I thought
That's not the one.
It's like deep breathing. But
She's doing it now.
Furry hanging in the corner.
My apologies, poor doggy. That's the sound. That's what we could hear.
Yeah, I was worried it was me for a second.
Jack's not had his tea yet. He needs.
Everybody can hear you snoring.
Yeah, that's quite sweet, actually.
I'll mute it.
No, it's quite. I know what it is. It's quite reassuring that at least somebody's at peace with the world. As all. I'm gonna skip a game, and obviously we've got Everton on Friday, but then soon, not long before, we've got Liverpool again at the Emirates. Am I correct?
And they're going to absolute batter us at the Emirates. I'm telling you that now.
Laura, what do you think the score will be, and what do we need? What do we need to change? Obviously, we'll be on a different pitch. What would you? And let's keep it to 1 point, all right? you can only make, that's it. I'm handing you the magic wand, but you can only make one. You can only have one wish. What gets us over the line to beat Liverpool? next time we see them?
They need to change something. They need to for sure change up the midfield. I don't think Kimmy Little starts a game anymore for me. She has to come off the bench. We had to do a bit of obviously nitty gritty on the pitch first, and then bring Kimmy Little on to clean it up. But even then, saying bring Kimmy Little on to clean it up is far gone for me at the moment. But they need to change something. I think Liverpool will come and they'll just sit. They'll be happy to walk away with a draw at this point. But I do genuinely think Liverpool will go away with a 1-0 win again. But yeah, I don't know what we can do to change it. I don't think we're going to get to change anything for the rest of this season. I know people are obviously. I'm going to retract back a wee bit to the game before that. I know people are saying, "Oh, Real Madrid, we've got an easy way through to the Champions League for the next round." As Jack stated, no, we've not. If you looked at their attacking players, to our attacking players, no, that's not easy. That's not an easy way through the Champions League. And people are daft enough to believe that if that's what they think. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even see us winning on Friday either. I really don't. I think the morale seemed really low. The disconnect in our players yesterday seemed like we did have Jonas as our manager. There's something seriously going on. I don't know what it is. Leah seems so pissed off with everybody on that pitch, shouting and bawling and getting angry with players that she's playing next to, which shows a bit of frustration. I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm baffled. I'm just baffled.
Okay, well, we'll hand the magic wand to Paul. I mean, yeah. What's the one change you would make, and what do you think the score will be?
I think we've got to change the midfield. That for me is just not working. The connection between the back four and the front line just isn't there. You've got, I said it earlier, you've got Russo tracking back into midfield and then not getting further forward again, as if she's trying to act as another number 10 or a number 8. And they're not giving a layer of protection to Leah and Steph at the back. The midfield just seem to be all over the place, not knowing what anyone's going to do. We had people like Rosa on the bench that we didn't use. Why did not start at the weekend completely baffles me. At the moment, I wouldn't even have her on the bench to come on.
Yikes!
I'd put 2 goalkeepers on the bench.
He's so savage, isn't it? I'm quietly spoken, but absolutely savage.
I'm one of, up until the end of last season, I'm one of Kim Little's biggest fans. But this season, she's hit the cliff and she's just dropped straight off of it. And she should have just announced, that's it, I'm retiring. But she's carried on, so she's in the squad. But I think it's the how do we get Kim into the team? That seems to be the question that Renee's asking herself, the backroom staff are asking themselves. How can we get Kim in the team? Well, the simple answer, don't.
Brutal. Thank you. Really good point here by Dorian. I've highlighted it there, but he's basically saying fundamentally the same team have played in the best and the worst performances. And it's, look, where's the consistency? That's a really good point.
Can I also just touch on some in the fitness in some of your players, especially when they're losing a ball and not tracking it back? Like watching them run, like they lose the ball and it's like Leah's one of them this season. Her tracking back, it's awful when she loses that ball in midfield when she's trying to get it into the midfield and it doesn't happen. Katie yesterday was one of them. That was dreadful. The only player in defence that seemed to ever do it is Emily Fox. She loses the ball further up the park and then tracks back to the hell of it to get the ball back. Katie McCabe loses the ball, takes a huff, and doesn't even track back to get the ball back. Like, we signed Jenna because she's supposed to be somewhat like Emily Fox with the mentality of getting back, but she's not even getting off the bench. Like, what is she doing so wrong that when Katie McCabe is taking a huff like she did yesterday, that she can't even get off the bench to just basically say to Katie, see that person that just went and took your space? That'll be the person that will take your space forever, however long that you're going to be the little brat that you're. Like, there's just no one in the team that pushes our players out. You've got Leah Williamson, no one on that bench that will push her out because she's the face of Arsenal. You've got Katie McCabe, no one will push her out because she's trouble. She'll do whatever she has to do in her time, and when she wants to do it. You've got players like Beth Mead, who is only really just being pushed because Chloe Kelly's come in. No one to push Caitlin forward. Like, there's no one there to push anyone, and it just seems like the pace of our players is just behind, and there's no one. There's just no pace, and this is what teams are going to click onto. That there's just no pace there between our players at all. The fitness in our team this season is absolutely shocking.
Interesting. Let's give Jack the magic wand. What gets us that 5-0 win against Liverpool?
I don't know, honestly. I agree with Dorian where he said about the inconsistency. And I think the inconsistency is probably our biggest issue because we've only got so much quality in the team. I think I'd swap Kim Little for Leah Volti. I want to see Leah Volti in the base of our midfield every single game. I don't think there's anyone who can do the role she does. And I think there's very few in world football that can do the role she does. So I would absolutely keep her in the midfield. Even if she has a bad game, she still provides some form of protection. I think we're going to be inconsistent till the end of the season. I don't think we can fix this one without going into the transfer market and bringing in some new players. As harsh as it sounds. I'm not saying sort of get rid of all the players. I just think we do need to bring a little bit of experience and then maybe some pace into the team as well.
Interesting, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I just going on that inconsistency. Our two most inconsistent performances, actually, in the league, we've been since Renee's come in, we've been reasonably consistent. But yeah,
I think our performances though, sometimes we'll have a sluggish first half followed by. I mean, if we want one player to bring in, and I'm going to keep flying this flag on social media and all over till the end of the season. Bring in Laura Freigang from Frankfurt, please.
What position is she?
She can play in the attacking midfield, so the Frieda role, and she can also play up front, mainly in the Frieda role. And in the Frauen Bundesliga this season, she's already got 12 goals and 5 assists in 16 games as captain of the team. Proper leader. Really want to see her in. And I just think we need players like that. That aren't maybe the absolute top players of the women's game, as they are difficult to bring in, but players that if you brought in, strengthen the squad, good leaders, and would then push us further. Because I don't think necessarily the player fitness is bad. I just think they're fucking knackered at this point. Because we've got players that if Emily Fox is injured, Emily Fox still has to play. Quite rarely at the moment. There is no one else for her. Our wingers, we've got Mariona playing on the wing. I would be interested to see how many times she played on the wing for Barcelona, because I always remembered her being more central in midfield.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
And she's a lot more central as well for Spain. She's never on the wing for Spain either.
Intriguing. James, of course, you're going to get the final say. Magic wand, what gets us to beat Liverpool 10-0.
I don't even think the genie for Aladdin's lamp was getting the 10-0 win. Genuinely, as Jack says, this season's a write-off. This season, for me, if it wasn't for the fact Man City could catch us so easily, I would say drop absolutely everybody, focus solely in the Champions League with the first team, and bring the frickin' academy players in. Let them have a crack at the end of the season. Show their worth, earn a contract. Because, as we say, the inconsistency, and I get Jack makes a fair point in saying that we're fucked, we're knackered. But see, for me, as somebody that doesn't pay attention to international football, I have no interest in it. I watch it purely for the fact that it's only the only football that's on. See, if you're that tired, if you think for a second you're going to be jet lagged or anything, and this goes predominantly to the likes of Emily Fox for America and for the Australian lasses, if you think you're going to be too knackered to come back to Arsenal and be able to perform, turn around and say the simple, I ain't going to internationals. Club comes first. They pay your wages more than the country does. I get it as an honour to play for your country. I respect that. But at the end of the day, the club pays your wages. If you are not going to be fit to play for Arsenal, knock it back, or else turn around and do the other one. Turn around when you come back and say, don't be scared to turn around and say, i.e. Emily Fox, listen, I'm fucked, I need a week off. Katie Reid's there. I get she's young, I get she's just come up for the academy, but let her shoot her shot. Let her have her chance, rather than take that position and then play an absolute shit game. Avoid it completely. If the manager then turns in and says, oh, no, sorry, I need you in, then that's on Renee. That's when Renee takes the fault. But turn round and be able to hold your hands up as a professional and go, either physically or mentally, I am unfit. There's no shame in it. But for me, to get the win against Liverpool, what I would change, drop everybody who's underperforming. Give the squad players a chance. Like I said, that Van Domsler, whether it's knackeredness, mentally, physically, I don't know what's wrong there recently. I don't like saying it, I'm no Manu's biggest fan, but give a rest, play Manu. Let Manu be able to say this is why I should still be at the club. The same with the likes of Leah Williamson and stuff. Drop them. At the end of the day, we're getting beat anyway. What the hell's the harm in risking somebody that's a little younger?
I think Scott on the comments said the apocalypse is nigh. I think James saying bring back Manu might be the first horseman of it, if I'm honest.
I take it, as I say, right, and I'm going to, this is where, as you say, Jack, right, that is the first thing with Manu gives me the living hell of fear. Genuinely. But see, at the end of the day, see, watch it, especially yesterday's game, Van Domsler was absolutely all over the place. It was like she dipped her gloves in butter and put her shoes in the ring feet. Every ball that went to her foot, it went to a Liverpool player. Every ball that came into her box, she dropped it, she spilled it. Give Manu back her chance. At the end of the day, see if that was Manu in goal yesterday and against West Ham, I'd have been the first one on our chat and in here ripping her to shreds. And so would so many more of our fan base. Manu takes the shit week in, week out when she's on. DVD needs to be able to take some of that as well. They were horror performances.
The only thing I will say about Daphne yesterday was after the match when she didn't go and join the other players in the huddle. She went and sat on the bench, and you could just see that she knew herself she'd underperformed, and she knew she could do better. And I think that one of the differences with her to some of the other players is she actually looked like she cared about the performance.
I will say that. Laura did say that last night as well. There was a video clip just after the goal went in, where she genuinely looked in tears.
Mm.
And it's like, right, fair dues, you know what, I was a bit harsh maybe. She did, as you say, she was one of the few on that park yesterday that looked like, I have just went and fucked this up for us, I've cost us. It wasn't just her. I know I've picked on her a bit tonight, but that was everybody. And I'm giving you through the lot. Lesia Russo, the last 4 or 5 games, supposed to be the first 100 million, first 100 million, I wish, the first £1 million player, has been non-existent in the last 3 or 4 games. Whether that's been service or not, she has been shite to the point even Stina showed her up in a couple of games. And that takes a lot.
But we didn't pay £1 million for Alessia Russo, we got her on a free.
Aye, but we were going to pay the £1 million for her, but that's the thing. We were going to pay the £1 million for her. She was going to be the first £1 million player until Man U said fuck off. And that's my point. That was a player we were willing to spend £1 million on. And for me, she hasn't showed her worth in that sense. I get we got her on a free.
But then as somebody explained earlier on, how can she do her job when she's having to track back into midfield because midfield aren't doing their job properly either?
And respect in that sense, but see when she has their chances, you look at the last 2 games. I think it was West Ham, prime example. She had 3 or 4 good chances before West Ham scored their first, and missed absolute sitters. See if that was Stina. That was Stina. She's getting tilt. There's the plane ticket. I'll fly you my fucking cell. See you later. We slag Stina. We've got the only reason that Russell gets away with it so much for me personally is the fact she's a lioness. The same with Leah Williamson as well. Leah Williamson gets away with so much because she's a lioness in the face of Arsenal. That's how she gets away with it. See if she was in any other country, she was Scottish, Swedish, Spanish, German, she would have get slaughtered. I get she's not getting the service as much. I do respect that. The full team have been shite. But we need to be able to, as you say, we need to be able to call out players in bad performances. Russo's been terrible recently. So is Mariona. The full team. Daphne was, as Paul Turkman said, but Daphne's the only one that showed any sort of anyway. But at the same time, as I say, if that was Manu's getting ripped to shreds.
Okay. James, I've got to go to bed soon.
It's all right. It's all right. My funny stomach is growling, so I need to go and get my dinner.
God bless the doggy. God bless the dog. And yeah, I think Darren gets the quote of the day that in all of that you never mentioned 4-4-2 once, James. So
in all honesty, as I say, I don't even think 4-4-2 could help this fucking team. I really don't.
Fair enough. Well, folks, hopefully that was cathartic. The therapy was there, and we feel a little bit better, a little bit unburdened. And hopefully we can stave off this apocalypse as the first horseman has been spotted by Scott. But hopefully we can save them off. But there we go. Paul, thank you so much for your contributions this evening. Next time we're at Meadow Park, if we get there, you can get an ice cream if the football's not so good. We've seen so was that one. But thanks, Paul.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Laura, feeling better?
Possibly. Good therapy session, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like Mel tonight. I mean, it must just be the angry Scot in us that we just all come onto this podcast.
One. It's part of our kind of squad makeup that we have to have. We've obviously doubled up with the angry Scots today, but
you've got to.
Yeah. So we've got the double pivot, really, I suppose, of angry Scots.
A double pivot does not fucking work. Get rid of it.
Gambrel, why did you bring that up? This is why George is going to be back in charge next week, because I can't even get that one right. Jack, thank you so much for your contributions and your international know-how. I'm not sure about your pronunciations, but you certainly know.
No, I think the pronunciations were well and truly butchered.
I wouldn't know any better, to be fair. So, but I just assumed that. I think a Grimsby accent, trying to say a Spanish name, just sounds very.
It's never going to work. No.
No.
But
Cheers.
thank
Cheers,
you,
Jack.
Andrew.
And James, we've got another hour for you to say goodbye.
It's okay. I'm all ranted out. I'm feeling much more refreshed. Nah, it's been a good podcast, and I think, as we always say in this show, every opinion matters. But
Exactly.
I think a lot of there could be a lot more opinions, but as we say, I've listened to my men's team as well. It don't matter how shite we are, I'll still be there. I'll still be supporting them on Friday and cheering them all the way.
Arsenal till we die, and that might be sooner than we think. But
They
there you
say the second horseman's been seen on Facebook, probably. The Arsenal Facebook group. It's there somewhere, I reckon.
Oh my lord! Well, maybe it's a blessing. Maybe it's a blessing. I'll see you all in Valhalla, and yeah, a normal service. It will be resumed with Georgie Boy back. But thanks everyone, and good night.